So yes, as Louis said, I've got 10 minutes. I've eaten into a little bit with my introduction, but I'm here to present and discuss with you, and hopefully have a good debate with Jonathan after around our digital transformation at the House of Commons. And I'll open by saying I think digital transformation has been overdone and is pretty much omnipresent in a standard reality for all organizations these days. So I'll speak a little more less theoretical, more practical with some case studies. And I'll start with why this change, what is our transformation about here at the House of Commons in Canada? What were the pressures that pushed us towards prescribing a change? And like most of you in the room, none of this is a surprise. We've been dealing with change forever. As the saying goes, the only constant is change. But I think we can all admit that in the last few years, the acceleration of this change has been monumental. And with that, some barriers or challenges that we confronted with the COVID-19 pandemic, the ability to shift to cloud for many of our organizations was a true test of our agility. And that's really what has prompted a lot of the changes at the House of Commons to rethink the way our services are delivered to our customers, our clients, members of Parliament and their staff, and how we can be organized, structured to be more efficient in that. So I will remind and sort of reflect myself even of our mission and purpose here in our organization as we table a very public manifesto of priorities to all Canadians around our priorities, very open and transparent about what we are focusing on. And a key priority that I've circled here in the magnifying glass is around unifying our service experience, providing a seamless service experience to our members of Parliament and their staff. And really, like I said, focusing our efforts as an administration towards enabling that outcome. Now, is that to say that we weren't unified or that there were a lot of creases or gaps in our services? Not entirely, but let's just say there was some room for improvement, and that was really an area of focus of our organization. In terms of the vision, how we were going to set out to do this, well, we used the classic pyramid approach, or the top down, of how do we want the service experience to be felt and delighted in terms of the customer's experience, the member of Parliament and their staff. How can we provide them a contiguous, friction-free environment where shifting from one service to the next, and all of those colleagues in the room who are offering the plethora of an a la carte buffet of playlist of types of services we offer, from food to accommodations to transportation to IT. We're all in that game of offering a very diverse set of services. How can we make that as smooth as possible so that multiple services in flight for a member of Parliament could be triggered, requested, and delivered seamlessly? So it didn't feel like it was coming from a different area of the organization every time. Well, the way we set out was looking at how do we reform that front office experience. So as you'll see in the second rung, we focus on what we now call client care teams and channels. And what we learned about our customer through a lot of insights, surveys, focus groups is that no member of Parliament, no customer is the same in terms of a common experience they prefer. And that experience they prefer can change hour to hour, day by day, due to the diversity of the environment that they work in and the locations that they work in. So we really looked at a multiple pronged approach to delivering those services, from classic red carpet, white glove in-person experiences to walk-up centers, to the classic 24/7 support lines, as well as folks in our teams that walk the floor to come right to a member of Parliament and ask how, in general, their services are going for them and if there's something we can help them with. So moving towards proactivity instead of reactivity has been a key fundamental in our client care experience. In how the layer cake expands deeper is, like I mentioned, there's such a diversity in our services and how those services can be consumed and rendered. Yes, through our wonderful frontline professionals, but they're going to need to be equipped with the right devices, with the right information at the right times. And that brings us into the wonderful world of where I'm deeply involved, is the layer cake of our data, our information, how it flows between all the different products, services, systems of record we have, and how do we obfuscate that spaghetti, that mess, the soup, as we call it, so that our customer doesn't need to know which team in which department is running that service, and then immerse themselves in a non-homogeneous environment of look and feel and consistency. So they're experiencing the service branded by the House of Commons with our experience. This, in a nutshell, is a very high level of the vision that we've set out to improve, and are still, by the way, in the journey. And I'll explain a little bit where we are today at that. And the approach that I will prescriptively kind of walk you through is a product-centric approach, which is the tagline of the presentation today. It's our transformation with a flavor of product-centric delivery at the heart of it. How we've defined products are technology solutions that meet our customers' goals and needs. They are digitally enabled and automated solutions that are taking our business processes and ensuring that they're delivered in an integrated fashion, not that old way of you come to a service area, you come to a certain department in our organization, will give you that service in a certain way. We're smashing down the barriers, breaking down the silos, and digitizing those processes and removing that complexity from our customer and allowing us from an IT perspective to worry about that in our product teams. And how we've been doing this so far is we've really had to do this in a deep partnership with our service area partners. So those same services where we would have a product based by service, now we're looking at our products being integrated across multiple service lines. How we've been doing this is truly through multidisciplinary teams, dedicated. Co-location was a funny thing. As COVID came in, as we were just starting this transformation, it did present a challenge, but we quickly adapted, like many of us had to in this environment. And I'm happy to say we're back to a slight degree, still making our way back to our office spaces in downtown Ottawa, but we're starting to re-inspire the co-location elements and really that notion of multidisciplinary teams from the cradle to grave, birth to death of our products, and not just sort of shifting over here and there each time there's a different requirement coming to the forefront. The way we've also done this is really looking at those business processes with our partners and redefining, in many cases, the way the service was classically delivered so that we can do it in a more integrated way. And why all this? Why all this effort? It's ultimately to deliver better value experience to our members of Parliament and their staff. I'll speak a little bit about benchmarks and metrics of measurement of our success, but first, there's still some things to think about along this journey. This slide here is really to show you a little bit of before and after, or a comparative view of how we used to function, and that's on the first row, to how we're functioning now, or are still in the process of moving towards. So classically, a lot of our organization was, I'll say, project intense, project heavy. Everything was encapsulated in a project. Projects ruled the roost of our organization. We were very focused on requirements and solutions, projects, delivery, on time, on budget, on schedule, green, green, green. We had very linear waterfall delivery experience. We had a very functional based specialty. Put all of your developers in one room, put all of your testers in another, keep the business over there. The funding came in very siloed and segmented fashions. If you had money under the mattress, that was great for you. But if there was a higher priority from one of your colleagues, well, too bad if they didn't have any money left in their department for the priorities of our organization. The way our teams worked in the past were very traditional, specialized, and focused, as I said, around the functional aspect. And oh yes, all of our complex processes, procedure, and standards were there and in full technicolor. How have we evolved? We've moved the shift from project to product. The definition of product is it doesn't end. The product doesn't end when we've delivered to production. The product persists until the service is no longer in existence, which we've been around since 1867, delivering a lot of these services here in Canada, but the products will evolve on a life cycle as anything in life. And yes, we are here now organized in our teams in the entirety of the life cycle, not just to do a little project for an enhancement here and there. We really focus now on business outcomes instead of just requirements. What value are we trying to deliver? At what cost will this value come at? We are more enterprise focused versus just point in time solutions. What will this mean as an impact to other things we do? Continuous delivery, user experience, corporate-wide alignment, versatile multidisciplinary teams, and of course, ensuring there's a fabric to weave the teams together have all been mainstay in our product-centric approach. The case study really quickly that I'll walk you through that we first kicked the tires on this new digital transformation approach of product-centric was in our members of parliament staffing solution, which was due for life cycle and was ripe with opportunities of integrating our business lines, providing a more delightful experience to our members. So by the way, we used to have a turnaround time from start to finish of from inception to delivery of a new staffer in a member's office of roughly about a month. And I'm going to show you how we've reduced that quite a bit through this study. I think this slide will show you a little bit of the complexity. I was going to say chaos that used to ensue in terms of how our workflows, and yes, I've dumbed it down a little bit for the sake of the presentation. But as you can see, there was a lot happening in terms of how start to finish would happen of getting a new staff onboarded. Lots of different things, lots of different teams, lots of different silos to bridge and transfer to, from HR to our corporate security offices to IT in terms of account creation and delivery, lots of different moving parts. The way our transformation has enabled us for better success is we've employed certain paradigms and models like a customer engagement hub model. Check out Gartner if you're interested in learning more about such frameworks, or speak to me after if you'd like a reference architecture. And really what that enabled us to do was through our product-centric approach and renewed interest with our business partners in integrating our services as per our mission and purpose here at the House of Commons and our priorities, we were able to drastically streamline inconsistencies and congruencies with our business processes, chop delays from days to weeks to hours, and in some cases even take it down to seconds through automation. And yes, we've employed quite a few different technology innovations and platforms behind the scenes that, once again, I'd love to share with you if I had more time. But through our efforts, we've been able to really look at some of the metrics of success with wonderful business outcomes in mind. If I was to jump to the punchline, we have on average a 40% faster completion of the end-to-end hiring process for members of parliament. In the upper range of where things are going very well, we would have a 95% faster if everything is a textbook hiring process. And sometimes it's a little slower depending on the complexity, but overall a much faster, more enjoyable experience. And a key value business outcome is members of parliament have to dedicate less of their staff to focusing on our administrative burden for them to navigate those choppy waters, so they can focus more on handling constituency and House and committee business versus the admin burden that we had placed on a lot of the members' offices. How does this turn around in the KPIs? Speed, quality, satisfaction. Well, speed, service turnaround times drastically improved. We had a whackload of inaccuracies and errors in the process. Since we've employed a lot of quality checks in the processes, now through many of the automation we've put in, a lot of the quality has improved drastically. What does this all mean in the end? It's the satisfaction. It's a delighted and happy customer. That's what we were searching with all of this. As I reflect, and we'll close the presentation, key takeaways of lessons learned and reflection, I'll focus on automation first. Automation is wonderful. Take a business process, put it in the automation sausage machine, and wonderful things can come out. That's great for, in my reflection, critical path, trusted, well-documented, well-understood processes. If there are those things that happen once in a while, do not put it in the sausage machine of automation. Those things will come to haunt you later. Let the flexibility versus predictability prevail when it comes to what you're going to be choosing to automate or not in your transformation. Governance becomes a massive piece. The way the governance was set up prior was very service area, departmental focused. Now we're having to look at cross-department, cross-business line governance around how our products are built to serve the same customer we all share. So we've had a lot to reflect and change upon of ownership. Who owns the product? Who owns the holistic service when there's 5 service areas involved in delivering that service? Can you chop it up into the pieces? Should we? These are the things that we've had to reckon and are still discussing in our organization in terms of ownership. And lastly is the culture. Culture, I threw the 3 E's on there: engage, empower, and empathize. Empathy is a big one in terms of how we change. It's easy to change a process. It's easy to change a tool. How flexible and easy and how prevalent is the immune system in your organization to be ready to accept such an infiltration on this body of legislature that you have. So that's really what I wanted to share with you all today. 10 minutes is a lot to cram in of the wonderful 3 years we've been on this journey. We still have much more to reflect and deliver upon, and I would love an opportunity to come back one day to speak about how things have gone since then. Thank you, Luis.